Good to see you guys too. You've got myself and you've got Andrew Chee, Jim Winkler and Andrew Chee. Today we're going to be sharing with you a little bit about Zoom, how to purchase it, how to use it, and really how to take advantage of this during this time we're in right now. And you know, when I say in this time we're in right now, what I'm talking about is really looking at it and saying, okay, we're going to be sequestered for a period of time. We need to be able to communicate with people, right? And we need to be able to run our business, and we need to be able to talk about products. What is a way that we can do that? Well, the way we can do that is with this technology we have. And the way Andrew and I will do this is we're going to show you where you can get it. Then what we're going to do is we're going to share with you a PowerPoint. Then we're going to go in and we're going to go live into some Zoom settings so you can see some different settings. So you'll get a couple different things. Take notes. We'll probably try to hold most questions. We'll try to leave some time at the end to answer. Although if you do answer some, we'll both be checking it when either one of us is not talking. Anything else you want to add before I start sharing how to get there, Andrew?
Nope, that's a great start. I think it's perfect. Let's get to it.
All right, let's go. So I'm going to share now my desktop. So I'm going in to share the desktop.
And we'll show everybody here how to do that as well later on.
Yes, we will. Definitely, we will. And I'm going to move this down a little bit now. I'm going to go to UnFranchise login. And I'm going to log into my UnFranchise account. Because first thing, we have to know where to find Zoom to be able to purchase it and see some of the things that go along with that. Now, again, in the US, one of the things we could do, you could just go to your search bar. If you type in Zoom, it's going to pull up right there, and then you can click to learn more and sign up today. While you're doing that, and it goes through and it gives all the benefits, things like 15% IBV. It's $9.95 a month. Compared to it's a savings of about $160 per month, a value of $160 per month for only $9.99. You understand this is an incredible platform we have been given. Now, the other way you can get it is by going into Andrew. What is it we go into? Is it?
The other way you can get it is by, so you searched Zoom from the top
for
bar,
the US, correct.
That only works in the US now, but if you go to My Account, for us Canadians, we click on My Account, My Services.
There we go.
And there you've got Zoom video conferencing. This is also available for the US.
Which took us to the exact same spot. Yeah. And that, you know, so there you've got two ways that you can get to it. And again, as I scroll down, you have the ability to see different things that we have there and the communications they have with the benefits, how the savings you can get, testimonials. But Jim, with all that, let's run into, I think, let's put on the PowerPoint, Andrew, and talk now about that.
Actually, do you mind clicking on your Facebook, on that tab, Go Live on Facebook? I think we may not be live yet on Facebook. Right. You've got to, yeah.
Okay, let me try. It's not letting me. So let's do this. If it's not going live on Facebook yet, let's take a look at it and see if we have the ability to live on Facebook. It may have timed us out, Andrew, when we were doing that.
Share on a page. And this is how, you know, this is one of the cool tools about the Zoom, you know, the Zoom program that we have with our partnership with Zoom is that we have the ability to go live on Facebook and on YouTube, and it comes with the package. So it's pretty cool. Click right there, go live anyways.
And then it should show us going live here in a second. That's why there's two of us to take care of this and do it. But what you also got to see how easy and how quick that was to be able to do. And now we are about a 20-second delay but we will be live on Facebook while we're live on Zoom, which allows many, many more people to be able to watch this, obviously, which is really great.
So let's take a moment and go through how somebody would get access to the Zoom partnership again, Jim, perhaps like in our back office.
You want me to head back to the back office? Okay, here we go. So if we go, just have to move this a little bit so that it is out of the way.
And what Jim is moving, he's moving the toolbar, or he's moving my face around on his screen.
No, I'm not moving your face. I was actually moving my screen a little bit because the toolbar was in the way. So sometimes you have to do that.
Yeah.
So again, if we're in our back office, our UnFranchise.com, and let's go to the homepage there. Okay, two ways we can find it. One way is typing in Zoom in the search. In the US, this works. It does not work in Canada. Obviously, with Andrew being from Canada, we were testing things both ways. The other way is to go to My Account, then go down and go My Services, and then go down and go Zoom Video Conferencing. There you have it, and there you have the ability to click to learn more and sign up today. Okay?
Yep.
What we want to do now, I'm going to pull up a PowerPoint. We're going to give you, when you go to sign up, some things that you want to make sure you know to do. And Andrew, please don't hesitate to jump in if I'm missing anything or we need anything, okay?
Okay.
Great. So when you sign up, you choose, obviously, a payment method. It's going to be billed to a company called Working Live. Even though we're working with Zoom, I want you to be aware of that it'll be working live. And you activate your Zoom account by clicking activate. We're going to actually walk you through all the different steps. Now, you can buy a monthly plan for $9.99, or you can buy an annual plan for $119.98. And remember, it's 15% IBV on either one of these. So you're creating quite a bit of IBV by doing this. Now, once you've gone through and you've started through your back office to order, we want to make sure that when you get to billing details, that you notice the UFO consultant ID is going to be auto-generated. Do not enter it. Do not change it. Because you're coming from your back office, what's happening is it's putting in the ID of the person from that unfranchise.com. So I want to make sure everybody was clear on that. Also, I've had a number of people, Andrew, have asked, can we sell this Zoom platform to guests, to prospects? We cannot. This is only a program that's been set up for unfranchise owners on a special agreement because of the pricing we're getting and the tools and features we're getting at this point. So I just want to make sure that's clear. The next thing you would see is when you enter your email address down towards the bottom, if you currently have a Zoom account, make sure that you enter the Zoom account that you already are using, the email that you're already using with a Zoom account. So example, if I had a Zoom account with jim@shop.com, when I put my email address in this new one, I'm going to put jim@shop.com. The reason I'm doing that is some of you may have purchased a year-long program. And you're saying, oh, darn, I just spent all this money, and now, the company comes out with this great deal. Well, here's the deal you can do. You put your email address in here, you register for it. Working Live with their partnership with Zoom is going to credit you back to the credit card that you had billed at your previous Zoom account to any unearned or unused monies. So you will get that back by doing it, but you have to have the same email address to be able to get that.
Yes.
Andrew, any questions or thoughts?
Yeah, I also wanted to mention I've used a different email address on my unfranchise than I do on my Zoom. So when I come to when it comes to that, I've got to put in my Zoom account's email address, not my unfranchise.com, not my unfranchise email address.
Oh, that's good and very, very correct with that. One of the next things you'll see is you'll get, let me go back here. You'll get an email that says, hello, whoever Working Live has requested to add you to their Zoom account, approve the request. Boom, you're going to you're going to click that button. Excuse me, that's not an email. That'll come up as you're going through the registration. So approve the request. Then you are going to get this showing you your new account. And here in the example, like Working Live, it's an enterprise account. You're accepting that invitation to do that. It's a user type pro. This is going to give you a 500 seat capacity for your webinars and a 500 seat capacity for your meetings. This is it's an incredible program that we've been allowed to have with this. Go ahead, Andrew.
That's a good size UBP, Jim.
That's a good size UBP. Now, when you are accepting it, you're going to see your account balance is 0. So I had a Zoom account. So when I'm going through all of this, all of a sudden I get to this part of registering, and I say you have an account balance of 0. I'm like, well, I should have a credit because they're going to owe me like $120 or something like that. But when I was doing that, what I didn't notice, it's going to take 24 hours before you're going to see a refund. I would say it's going to take 24 hours to a week before you're going to get that money back onto your credit account. So it's not going to show up right away. Also, make sure you click refund to me. You don't want to send that money to Working Live. You want to send that money back to you if you have a refund coming. Here now, you're going to see where it'll say, thanks for accepting the invitation. Go to my profile page. So again, we're just walking you through exactly what they're setting you up. And this is how you can see if you have your upgrades. If you do, it's going to say under your profile, it'll say large 500 and webinar 500. So you can see that you've got that right away.
Yep. And Jim, go back to that page real quick. Sure. While we have, this is what the account profile page will look like. To find this, you just need to go to zoom.us, sign in, and then under my account, you can see account profile. This is where you can find this. But I do want to point out another thing interesting about this page is that you see that personal meeting ID there where it says 410-712-3053. Now that's a randomly assigned, meeting room ID that we all have, and everyone will have a unique ID. If you click on edit on the right side of it, you can actually change that number. I've changed it to my phone number so I don't have to remember another 10-digit number. So, we all have access to do that. You can also set up a personal link like Jim has for people to join. It'll be zoom.us/J/MY/Jim Winkler. Great ways to invite people to join your meeting room.
Yeah, and it's, a lot of people with that, like you said, Andrew, with the personal ID, they just put their phone number in there because it's something they can always remember, right? And, sure. I saw some people saying, well, I never got a link or something like this in the chat. One thing I would say, if it's an email, make sure you check your spam or your junk to see if you've gotten it. As Andrew said, go to zoom.us and log in with the same login information you used when you set up that Zoom. So you had the ability to do that and take care of it. But these features are great because changing that personal ID, I know I put mine as my number. That's not my number here, by the way, so you know that. But I did change mine to my phone number so I would never forget it and be able to do that. Right. It makes it easier. And the activation will not happen. Okay, so let's make sure this. If you have more than one person on your account, so you'd have to delete all other people on your account. If you have any Zoom rooms, you have to delete those. Or if you have an outstanding balance with Zoom. So if you owe Zoom money, you're not going to be able to set up here, okay? But you can send an email to support@workinglive.us so the invitation activation link can be resent to you. So again, your support team is going to be support@workinglive.us when you need support with things. And here you're going to see with Working Live, what do you do next? First, look for that email invite from noreply@zoom.us to activate and integrate your account with Working Live. It can take 24 hours to get it, so don't get freaked out. You didn't get it the first hour you set up. I would say if you don't have it in a few days, you might want to contact support@workinglive.us. that happened to me. And you know what my problem was? I put different emails in. I had one email for my Zoom account before, and I used a different email when I signed up for the Zoom account with through our unfranchise.com. So they had to put those together. Again, most things are user error, at least with me. That was my user error with that. So that's why it says now log into your Zoom account using the same email and password that you've used before with that. And when you get here, what if you get this and you say, I don't want it, I've decided I don't want it. You do have the ability to cancel your account. You can see that right there under the how to cancel my account. And then there's also information on how do you contact. There's a phone number and support at workinglive.us if you would need that as you're, again, getting everything set up. Andrew, anything you want to add on any of that?
Yeah, I got a question, Jim. When you had contacted them at support at workinglive.us, what was the experience like? You got somebody get back to you and help you fix the issue right away, or did you have to log?
I did. And they basically said, one of the first questions was, did you put the same email in? And right away I realized it was me. Now I am going to say this, guys, if you understand what's happening with Zoom right now, there is a huge, because of everything happening, this is a very, I don't want to call it stressful. It's a great time for Zoom, but there's a lot of people joining at one time, not just from Market America, but from the world, who are saying we need to be able to integrate and do simple meetings. So if there is a little delay, don't get upset with that, but do keep contacting them to get it taken care of.
Right. So let's show everybody how it actually looks like. Now we've got the Zoom, we've got the account. How do we use this? Let's show everybody how it looks like.
Well, should we talk about the meeting, going into a meeting?
Yeah.
Andrew, what would you say, what size group would you use for a meeting?
A meeting is typically about no more than 10 to 15. If you're sitting in a circle in a core ring, as some of us do, like with our groups, that's when we would use a meeting room. Another time would be on one-on-ones and two-on-ones. Meeting rooms work a lot better because it's more intimate, and we can actually experience it. This is what I tell some of my my guests in some of the meetings that I've had over the past week. I said, too bad we can't meet up for coffee, but I'll have a cup of coffee. You can grab a cup of coffee, and it'll be like we're having coffee together. Whoa, what's just happened, Jim?
Hey, we're taking this to the next level, Andrew. I just decided we're going, Jared says we're going into space, or coming down and landing as UFOs. So I just, decided to change my background to measure up with that, with what we're doing.
Very
Sorry
cool.
to disrupt you while we were doing it. So there is the option to change your background as well if you want to. So, and you can do that. It's under where your video is, and it says change my choose a virtual background. They have a couple set there. You can actually go in and have the ability to put something you want in there as well, a picture maybe you enjoy while you're doing that. So I'm just giving you a couple looks at it right there. I think I'll stay with outer space right now, Andrew, if you're good with that. But one of the things we're showing right now, so meeting 10 people or so, right, Andrew? Keep it. And you had a great suggestion I want to give to everybody, so I don't forget this. We're doing a lot of online UBPs right now, and our executive sales team was meeting the other day, and Andrew said one of the things he's doing or going to coach on is after the online UBP. Let's say I have a team, and in my organization there's 6 guests there, and there's the unfranchised owners who brought them. Well, why not set up a meeting after the UBP instead of a webinar, but a meeting where we could all see each other, we could talk, we could do things like that, and sort of have the meeting after the meeting, but have it online, right?
Yeah. Just have the meeting after meeting online after. It's like having your own private meeting room after the UBP. But here's how it works. When you get a Zoom account, whether it's the paid account or whether it's the free account with Zoom, the first time you use it, you'll be asked to download the application or the program. Yes. This is what the program looks like on your desktop. Well, on my desktop. and you'll have very simple features. If you click on the new meeting, if you click on that, it'll open up a new meeting room where you can invite people into the room. If you want to know how to find the room, click on that. It's right at the top. There's a 9-digit or 10-digit number right at the top of the room. Or if you click on that drop-down bar, Jim, if you could click next, it'll show you.
It says new meeting right there.
And you click next, it'll show you the meeting ID. So that's my phone number, and that's also my meeting ID. So you can copy that ID, copy the invitation. It'll go straight to your clipboard, and you can just send that out without having to memorize a new number.
Right. So again, download the app onto your computer, you're saying, Andrew, but you can also download that app right onto your phone, so you can use it in both ways, correct?
Yes. Now, say, for example, now I want to get on one of Jim's meeting rooms. Jim can text me whatever number that room is. I just click on join, and if we click on it, Jim, what'll pop up is a new window where I can input that number. And once I've input that number, I can click on join, and it'll bring me in to meet with Jim. One thing I will say, and we had to coach a lot of our guests on this, is that a lot of times you'll see, I don't know if you had this happen to you, Jim, you start a meeting and then you'll see people going like this, but you don't hear anything. That's because we've got to click join with computer audio first. Click on that, or it's right in the middle. If you miss it, it's right in the bottom left. And that connects the audio, and it gives, what that is, it's giving, Zoom is asking permission for your computer to allow it to use the microphone and use the speakers. That's what it, that's what
And the other thing, Andrew, which I know I've run into many times, is starting a Zoom meeting and not having my own computer sound up all the way. So even though I've got the audio set up correctly, if my sound is off or at 0, I won't hear people talking, and I'll wonder why. So you want to make sure your sound is on and you can join with computer audio. If you do that, then you can see, this is a little work we were doing earlier. You can share your screen as well, and there's a share screen button, and this is what you're seeing at the bottom. This was great, Andrew. You were able to take this screenshot. There's the audio. You can mute yourself. Here's where you could stop video if you want. Click and invite people right while you're already rolling with it. Here shows the participants. This is going to say share screen, which we can look at. There's a chat. We can record, and a number of other things that you'll see there. But I'm going to click forward. And when we do that share screen, what happens is it'll come up with a number of different options there. Typically, you're going to want to share your desktop. And Andrew, if you're playing anything with sound, we want to make sure that they click share computer sound, like our video on our UBP presentation, right?
Mm-hmm. And what that share computer sound is that it'll play the sound from the video file itself, instead of playing it out of your speakers and going it back into the microphone. So it gives it a more clear and higher quality sound.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the meeting experience. So we're going to show it to you live again too in just a second, but let's talk a little bit about the webinar experience. So the webinars, when we're now looking at bigger groups, this is maybe a coring for 20, 30 people. This might be when you'll see trainers who are doing webinars, or if you're doing a big HBP or something like that, where you'd want to use a webinar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and another thing that Jim taught me, which I thought was really cool, was that with the webinar, it's different than the meeting room. So notice at the top of the address bar, there's no 9 or 10 digit number. It's a random. It's got another different code for people to register. So we'll show you later on where you can get this code when you register for a webinar. But another thing that Jim taught me, which was really cool, was that, Jim, if you could click on the screen one more time, you see down there, you can add questions. Another cool feature for the webinars, you can add questions for, say, if you're setting up a UBP and you want to know how many guests are on and how many UnFranchise owners are on, you can add these questions for them to put in and answer before they register for the webinar.
And you also get to pick what information do you want. On this one, it says first name, last name, email. You could ask for the phone number, or you could ask for the city they live in as well, because you're doing this, worldwide at this point. And you're right, Andrew. I love setting up the questions like that, because then I know who my guests are, because there's reports we get which will detail this out, who the guests are and who invited them, which is really good. And again, we're going to show you how to do that. We're just giving you a quick run through on here. And this is what you're going to receive after you register. So you can see where Andrew registered for a test we were doing, got this back. You can see where you can add it to a calendar, right? And have the ability to do that. So that's what I always recommend for people. Put it on your calendar right away, so then you can just click on it.
Yep, and you just join with that click here to join link, instead of having to put in a number. You can still put in a number, but that's only after the webinar starts.
And if somebody's head is too big in there, there's too much of them, you can press escape or double click to exit that full screen mode.
Right.
Because I see Andrew put my biggest face he could on there right now. So you can do that to escape. Right.
Well, I wanted to show that difference, like why we would use a webinar is that if, my rule of thumb is if we had to set up a meeting where we had to use a microphone, like in a professional setting in a hotel meeting, we'd go with the webinar, because as the attendee, this is all you see. If you could push back one slide, Jim. As the attendee, what you'll see is that you notice the bottom. It doesn't have share screen. It doesn't have record. It doesn't have, more. It's not that messy. And as the attendee, when people attend your webinar, they don't see who else is on. They don't have access to the rest of the list. Meanwhile, anybody from the webinar can be promoted as a panelist. Now as a panelist, this is like you being able to go backstage and meet with the speakers, and be one of the speakers. So if you click on the next slide, as a panelist, you'll see the list of participants, you'll see the list of attendees, and you have the ability to unmute and make people hosts. Now, don't worry if you set up your webinar in a practice mode, which hasn't broadcasted yet, your attendees will be 0. And it's going to stay 0 until it goes live. So don't worry if you set up practice mode and think that, hey, nobody's showing up to my meeting. That's because we haven't gone live yet. After you go live, the room starts flooding in.
Yeah, and that's what happened with this. I mean, we went live, and in 30 seconds, we had 200 plus people on. Yeah. So when it's in practice, you're not going to see any attendees until you do click that. So you saw us stream to Facebook Live a little bit. What's great about this is you can stream it in so that you can add more people to what you're doing. So what you do is where you've got that bar down on the bottom, there's an area that says live on Facebook. Where those 3 dots are, you see down there, there's a live on Facebook. And you click live on Facebook. Now you have to be the administrator of the group or page that you want to stream live on Facebook. If you're just a member of it, they're not going to allow you to go from Zoom to that. But if you're an administrator, they will, because they want to make sure that it should be streamed on there. In this case, Andrew's an administrator on the GMTSS at the Canadian region. So he does that. It prepares the live streaming after he clicks it. Then what happens is you'll start to see a current version, and then it goes live when he clicks go live down in the bottom right-hand corner. So we had to do this by screenshot because we couldn't show you this part of it live. But again, it's a great way to add. If you know you're going to have more than 500 people on a webinar, that's a way you can expand that out in a big way to be able to do that.
Yeah. So earlier on that previous slide, what you saw is how it works now. But I believe this version is going to change to this, make everything bigger, easier to see. So in a couple days or weeks, like this will probably be the new way we stream live.
Great. Great. So Andrew, let's move to setting up a webinar or meeting, okay? And I'm gonna end that show right there, and we're actually gonna go live right now. And let's see if I can go, let's take a look at an account. Let's see if I can go into, I'll do, I don't want to take myself out of the account we're in. That would be a problem.
Yeah, that's okay. It won't happen. Like you
It
can
won't
log
happen.
in. Hmm.
Okay, so if I go into an account right now, I'm actually going to, let's do this. Let's go Zoom. I'm going to under my account. I was trying to log out so I could log into my personal account on there as well. But with here, when we take a look at this, when you're in a back office of this, some things, and I'm going to move this over again so I'm not messing that up. But some things we want to take a look at. We've got personal meeting IDs. We've got sign-in emails that you can see. Some things we talked about before that you have the ability to edit and the ability to change when you do that. You can see the licensing. This happens to be a corporate account, which is a much bigger account that we have. It's 5,000. Most will say 500 on there. You'll see what time zone it's set in. You'll see date format, which is the way it's set up, calendar integration, different things like that. Now, on the left-hand side, you're going to see things like meetings. So you could click on meetings, and when you click on meetings, it would show any upcoming meetings, previous meetings, personal meeting room. You can see schedule a meeting, join a meeting, host a meeting, and you can host a meeting right away with video on. So again, this is from zoom.us, zoom.us, after you have already signed in to your zoom.us. That's where we're at right now while I'm talking about that. Then you can see here webinars. So again, meetings we went through how to do. Webinars we didn't talk about as much. So I'm going to take a look, and let's take a look at the meeting we're doing currently. This is what you need to know about Zoom and how to purchase and set up and use. So when you take a look at this, what are we running into here? Well, we could add this to our calendar because Andrew and I went in, we set it up earlier. When we did it, I added it to my calendar. Now that's my link as the organizer, not as the attendee. I want to make sure people understand that. Then when I went through, I can change, do I want the video on for the host? Do I want video on for panelists? Maybe you don't want your panelists to be on video. We can decide, do you want people to use telephone and computer audio? Do we want to allow it to have questions and answers, enable a practice session? So a practice session allowed Andrew and I to jump on about 10 minutes earlier, and we were setting some things up, doing some different things. So I would say you typically do on a webinar want to enable a practice session. One of the biggest benefits I think we get, Andrew, with Zoom right now is it allows you to record the webinar automatically to the cloud. So every webinar you do, you can record to the cloud if you want to while you're doing that. Now, we could edit this webinar and change any of the things we see on there. Okay, obviously I'm not going to edit it while we're live right now and we're doing this, but that's something we would have the ability to do. Andrew, jump in if I've missed anything as we're talking.
I wanted to had a note on the recording to cloud. I always choose to record mine to cloud because with our package we get unlimited cloud storage,
Right.
so it doesn't take space on my computer.
Exactly. So once you've set up so sort of the basics, okay, and you say, okay, I got that webinar set up, then what's going to happen is when you go back to that webinar, it's going to allow you to do what I call more the advanced settings. So you can do things like invitations. Who are my panelists I want to invite? And anything you want to edit, there's an edit button right to the right. Like if I wanted to change who I'm inviting as a panelist, I hit edit. If I wanted to change any of the things in my basic part of the webinar, I would hit edit this webinar. Invitees, how many people? Do I want to copy the invitation? Now, if I go copy the invitation, what you're going to get is a big thing like this right here with the time, everything going on. A lot of times I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I'll go to the right of this registration URL and you'll see it'll say copy the URL. So I'm doing that. Now I can write something in and then I just add the URL, and when somebody clicks it, it'll take them to a registration page. Here we have the ability with our, as we continue to go down, to just make sure everything's approved, manage attendees, great, wonderful. Now we'll go to, so if you look on this one, you can see we had 737 people who had registered ahead of time. If we go to email settings, we have it set for English. You can see who you want the email to go back to. If somebody has an email, I could edit that. And if I wanted to edit it, I would click it. I could change the email in there. A confirmation email to register. I believe you always want an email confirmation to go. And here's the one we have here. It basically puts in some basics. We wrote in, we look forward to seeing you on the webinar, but you could put anything in there. One of the things, Dennis and I were working on a webinar today, and he put in there, please make sure if for any reason you can't get on the webinar, to go to the Facebook Live to be able to see the presentation, which was outstanding. But so you can update so many different things. One of the things I think is important, send an email an hour before the webinar to remind people. So you want to make sure you've set that up to do it. You can send up follow-ups to your attendees. You can send up follow-ups. You could have somebody who missed it. And if you said, I want to send them a follow-up, you could put a video in here of something they missed and be able to do that. Right. So that was a quick run through some of this. Did you want to add anything on that part, Andrew?
Yeah, like I think this is great because it does the follow-up and it does the reminder for you. That's almost like having a driver go pick up your prospect to head to the UVP. And the follow-up, a great video to put in the follow-up video, if the follow-up message is send a link to the digital credibility and education video. That's a powerful one. Jim, did we go over how we could set up questions like how you did with the when you do your home business presentations?
I don't think we did, and that is under
invitations.
Okay.
Yep. And as we scroll down under approval, I think there's the questions tab right at the top.
Yeah, some people were probably asking that. So the first thing you see is, what do I want people to have to put in? Last name. Well, again, we could have put in city. We could make them put in phone number if we really want to. Then when you go to custom questions, what you can go in and do is I could say, well, I want it to be multiple choice. So what I'm going to type in is the question. Are you an UnFranchise, owner or guest? That could be one of the questions. And then my answers would be UnFranchise and guest. You probably hear my dogs in the background. This is real live stuff.
That was my dog responding to your dog.
Oh, fantastic. So then I'd click create. If I click create, that now becomes a question for us. Then I have the ability to do more questions as well. So once I create it, it'll say, do you want to add another question? Yeah. So I could add another question if I wanted to. But that's where you can create those questions that we have and you have the ability to do. So that's where you find that. And again, that's under registration. It's under approval options. Go here, you've got your registration, you've got your questions, and you have your custom questions. Okay, yes. Great. All right, so let's go to branding. Show people you have the ability under branding where you could add, like, let's say you wanted to put in the marketamericashop.com logo. You could put that in there, the marketamericashop.com logo, and have the ability, that'll show up then when you send that email to people on the top of it. That's how Andrew had that on his when he was looking at it. You can go in, you can put a picture of the speaker and a description on there. You have the ability to edit that and be able to do it. So you could go in and you could write things in there if you wanted to. And that, again, would go to the people who are receiving this. You can decide what color you want your buttons to be. You can have a post attendee URL. And what that means is if I wanted that, that could after the meeting ended, a certain URL, maybe it was to my shop.com site, maybe this was a customer presentation, and it would pop in there. Maybe I'd have it set to go to Immune or something like that, so that it would go right to that. You can do that. You can do a survey. Anything else on that area, Andrew, you want to add?
No, that's plenty.
Yeah. And then there's polls you can set up. There's which we don't have set up, but you have the ability to set up polls if you want to, which you can make go at any time. The question and answers, which we have live right now, and we're going to jump on here for a minute. And then the live streaming is always there, so you have the ability to do that. We showed you how to do that earlier. One thing I do want to show, Andrew, before we answer a couple questions, and we have to be careful on our time, is there's some great video tutorials here. If you click where I've got my mouse right now under video tutorials, Andrew and I have spent, honestly, hours and hours and hours now getting better at Zoom. This has been a crash course. I thought I was decent at it, and I realized I was really a novice. So there's video tutorials on basically everything you want to take a look at there. There is also recordings you can have, so you can look and see recordings that you have, so you can save those and do things with them. There's different settings you can set up, and there's even reports that you can have based on what you're doing as well when you're doing this. So you have the ability to have all those different things as we're looking at that, whether it be reports. And one of the reports you can do is called an attendee report. And an attendee report will actually show you, I pulled one up from a previous webinar I did, and it shows who was on, their name, email, were they approved, how long were they on, and it even shows what was their attentiveness. So were they attentive or were they not attentive during it? And in this one, you could tell it also was, are you an UnFranchise owner or a guest? And if it was a guest, who are you a guest of, as I mentioned before. So you've got a number of different reports you have the ability to use with that, as well as you take a look at some of this. We've given you a quick 45 almost minute tutorial on here. These you can go in and see are multiple videos you can watch and answer. Andrew, can we answer a couple questions for people on here that have been going on?
Yes. Well, there's been a few questions that are recurring about the IBV. Jim, do we get IBV for this?
Yes, it's 15%. So think of it like 1.5 basically if you're doing the $10 a month. So this is going to be great for our IBV program.
Yeah. So if, let's say, I purchase the monthly plan, I get 1.5 IBV per month. But if I go with the annual plan, I get 15% off the total.
Of whatever that spend was, correct.
Right. Great.
And there is a delay to the Facebook Live. Someone asked me about that. Yes, there is a delay to Facebook Live. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And the delay is not something that we should be worried about, because whatever we're doing here, the slides and us talking, it doesn't affect anybody watching on Zoom. And the delay on Facebook Live will also have a delayed audio, so it matches up perfectly. So whoever's watching on Facebook, it's like you're streaming a basketball game, and Facebook's just in a different time zone right now, and there's just a slight delay there.
Yeah, it's like if you have two TVs on in your house and the touchdown gets scored first and you don't see it on the one you're on. That can happen.
Right.
There is somebody who said they paid $9.99 per month, but they still have the free version. If you did use two different emails, you will need to email them and correct that and give them the email it should have been, Heather, to do that, okay? Mm-hmm. Andrew, were there other questions that were popping up? I'm just sort of breezing through some of these to take a quick look.
Yeah. There's a question, can you save the recordings as a guest? If you set up a webinar, no, I believe you cannot save the recording as a guest. However, if you are in a meeting room, it depends how you set up your settings if you allow guests to record. If you allow guests to record in your meeting room, they can save the recording.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, the one who's going to be able to save the recording is the one who set it up.
Yeah.
and is running the webinar. Shelly Bowe asked, why do we require password to attendees? If there's no charge, is this necessary? No, if there's no charge, it's not necessary. Don't have to do it. Some people will use a password if they need to make sure who's going to be there, to make sure that they have the ability to, if it's a paying type thing where they need to collect their money for that.
Right. Or also to make sure that there's no trolls that come into your meeting room and try to disrupt everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But for the most part, we do not require a password for most of what we're doing.
Right. Exactly.
Now, for anybody that is writing in who's having challenges with their account, it's not set up properly, am I going to get the refund, for all those technical challenges, everybody's account is just a little bit different, and everybody's at a different part of their cycle, if you will, their pay cycle with Zoom. So what I would recommend is to, don't be afraid to contact email support@workinglive.us, and they'll have a better look at your account and they could help you figure out what the next steps should be.
Yeah, and Sharon, I see, you must have gotten on late, because we did talk about, if you're a current Zoom member, go ahead and register again in the back office. Make sure you use the exact email you're using on your current Zoom account, and they will credit you the difference. So Sharon had a question on that. I want to make sure that she saw that.
Mm-hmm.
And Zoom is available on App Store and Google Play Store.
Yes, it is available on App Store and Google Play Store. It is under Zoom Cloud Meetings, Zoom Cloud Meetings, and the app looks like a little blue, a little blue box with a white camera in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, you can't track, I saw Ton answered this, thanks buddy. You can't track attendees from the Facebook Live. So that's why the only time we do a Facebook Live is when we're really worried it could be a larger crowd than everything, than what we have. And guys, we would love to stay and answer questions all night, but we have our teammate, Phil Guido, who's gonna be coming on in a little bit. And we need to get off of here so he can get ready and get set to go and do everything he needs to do as well. I hope this session was great for you. I think we've answered a lot of things for it. But I'm going to tell you, like our business, the best way to do this, to learn it, get it, start playing with it, do some practice sessions, set up with a friend of yours, say, hey, I'm going to set it up. I want you to show me what the email looks like. I want you to show me how it's coming on. The more you play with it, the better you'll get. And there'll still be some hiccups here or there. But here's the bottom line. We're going to have the ability for the next 8 weeks to communicate with people, to do one-on-ones, two-on-ones, home meetings, to have the ability to do big, large coins and things like that we wouldn't have otherwise. And that's why I have the space behind me, because we're going to take this to the moon. I know a lot of you realize we are in an incredible time right now to take advantage of what's happening in the world. And this platform gives us another advantage on top of our products, on top of the best business program system that is out there, and on top of people looking right now for a better way and us to be able to give them hope. Andrew, any closing thoughts?
Yes, sir. Just want to give a huge shout out to our president, Mark Ashley, and also Eddie Alberti for their hard work in getting this partnership set up. This is all the more reason it's another reason to become an UnFranchise owner, just because of the savings you get with the Zoom partnership. Of course, having access to all of our phenomenal products and our great platforms, this is another thing to add on top as icing on the cake, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree. And thank you to the whole corporate team. They're busting their tails, as you guys cannot imagine. They are going at it and really making sure, whether it's Jer, whether it's Lauren, whether it's Andrew, who's on here with us, everybody's in overtime mode, because we realize there's a window of opportunity, and we also realize what we have to be able to give and do this. So thanks for being on. Phil Guido's going to be on in just a minute. And you guys can log on to his webinar. He's going to be talking about how to, again, to use this to prospect, recruit, qualify your potential unfranchised owners. So why don't you jump on? Maybe you got some time. You can listen to Phil, and he'll also be on the live if you're not able to get onto the meeting. But everyone have a wonderful evening and take care. Okay, Andrew, thank you so much for all your help. Excellent.